السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحي. أهلا بكم أحبتي وفي درس جديد وحلقة جديدة تتعلق بالدروس السابقة وتتعلق بالدرس 22 أو المحاضرة أو الحلقة 22 المتعلقة بفيزياء الجوامد وفيزياء المواد عموما. اليوم نتحدث عن موضوع مهم جدا وجوهري يتعلق بالبنية الداخلية أو الميكانيكية الداخلية للبلورات وميكانيكية حركة البلورات والإلكترونات في داخل الشبائك البلورية عن طريق معرفة الخواص الفونونية والتحركات الفونونية وكذلك الكاتونات والآنيونات التي تمثل السمة الأساسية الرابطة بين الأيونات الذرية المتكونة خلال الشبائك البلورية. So how are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? And today, once again, a brand new lecture that mostly associated to the previous and former lectures we already been through, such as the lesson 22 or the lecture 22 or even the visualization 22 for the inner lattice systems mobilities as well as the inner lattice systems kinetics. Today, we're just going to have to talk about the lattice dynamics and thermal properties to study the intralattices within the crystals, or intralattices to the crystals, and their mobilities and kinetics and mechanisms, as well as the cations and anions, which are mostly associated or even mostly correlated to the previous lectures, as well as to the lecture today, lecture of today, or the lecture reviewed today, or is about to be reviewed today. Today we're just going to have to discuss and try to give an attempt or to give a visualization or even a picturization about the lattice dynamics and thermal properties. Of course, today, the lecture today, or the evening's lecture, is actually pretty much full of arithmetic and arithmetic representations, as well as the arithmetic analog, mathematical analogs and arithmetic representations and graphs to indicate the intracrystal lattices or even the intra crystals or even the intralattices into the crystals, as well as the extra properties that includes or even pretty much describes or even very much display or exhibit the thermal properties and features in every aspect that actually mostly correlated to the lattices kinetics and lattices thermal properties, or the thermodynamics of lattices within thermodynamics of the lattices at which the crystal is actually performing, or at which the crystal is actually going along with, or which the crystals is actually experiencing, as well as the features of lattices for further topics related to the features of lattices. And as you can see right here in front of you, we're just going to have to try to disambiguate, as well as trying to visualize and picturize and give a very optimal or even intrinsic approximation or even intrinsic visualization for the topic we're about to go through right now, that actually pretty much associated to the lattice dynamics and thermal properties of the materials and solids, particularly through a whole supported or a whole graphs and empirical equations supported topics that requires to be visualized today. So today we're just going to have to talk about the lattice, just like I said to you, just like stipulated in the beginning of the lecture of the day for this evening, and the beginning of the lecture of this evening, as well as the lectures before, or even the successor lectures, will be pretty much associated with each other and correlated and bonded to each other through a special chords. The chords are the visualizations, or the chords are the picturizations of the lectures here, and in order to get a full comprehension and as well as a full understanding for the thermal properties of the lattices and to know the optimal method or even the optimal synthesis or ways to deal with the materials around that we're actually used to deal with in your practical march, as well as daily life. Introduction. لمعرفة مدى استجابة المواد الصلبة للقوى الخارجية المؤثرة, in order to find out how responsive the solids are for the exterior effects such as acoustic waves, يعني مثل الموجات الصوتية, and electromagnetic radiations, والإشعاعات الكهرومغناطيسية, يلزم معرفة أنماط اهتزاز الشبيكة. It is obligatory or it is mandatorily to know the patterns of the lattice vibrations. يعني يلزم ومن الإجباري معرفة أنماط اهتزازات الشبيكة. وتناول هذه الأنماط بالدراسة يمر عبر مراحل, and having the study of the patterns is actually phased out. يعني تناول الأنماط بالدراسة يمر عبر مراحل تتدرج من البساطة. It's actually from or even ascendingly from simplicity to the hardest it can be. يعني تتدرج من البساطة إلى الأصعب. بدءا من نموذج خط ذري متجانس, commencing a model of homogeneous atomic lane, pretty much associated or even pretty much look like a taut cord or even a stressed cord to a monoatomic unidimensional lattice. يعني أشبه بوتر مشدود stressed cord أو even taut cord, وتر مشدود إلى شبيكة أحادية الذرات to a monotonic lattice في بعد واحد, in one dimension or even in a single dimension, to as you can see right in front of you, also in a single solid dimension, وأيضا في بعد فراغي واحد. وأخيرا تطبيق ذلك على الشبيكة ثلاثية الأبعاد. Lately or at last to apply that model, to make the model applicable to the three-dimensional lattice via detailing arithmetic, very complex or even very intricated arithmetic formulas that actually pretty much associated or even very much intricated mathematical formulations, يعني تقديم تفاصيل رياضياتية معقدة أو تفاصيل أو صيغ رياضياتية معقدة خاصة بالمرحلة الأخيرة, very much particular or even pretty much associated to the latest phase. والاهتزازات الذرية كما ترون عملية تلقائية في شبيكة الجوامد. And the atomic vibrations is actually a simultaneous or even spontaneous lattice or a spontaneous solid lattice procedure. يعني الاهتزازات الذرية هي عملية تلقائية في شبيكة الجوامد عند درجة حرارة T at any specific or at any ambient temperature. يعني عند درجة حرارة البيئة T. يكون متوسط طاقة كل ذرة, the energy average for each atom of the crystal is kT. يعني متوسط طاقة كل ذرة من ذرات البلورة KT. يعني إذا أردنا أن نستخرج متوسط طاقة كل ذرة من ذرات البلورة, نحسب درجة الحرارة درجة حرارة الجو التي توجد فيه البلورة, ومن ثم نضربها بثابت بولتزمان. So, in order to figure out, or even in order to compute the average energy for each atoms of the crystals, at which the crystals, or even the average energy, or even at the crystals, at which the crystals is actually coexist at, or at the spot, or even at the ambient, or even at the environment, or at the ecology at which the crystal is actually presented, or even presenced, we're just going to have to calculate the T as well as productly to be as well as to be productly multiplied, or even T productly multiplied with K with the Boltzmann constant. يعني لنحسب طاقة كل ذرة, like I said to you here, as stipulated before, in order to calculate the average energy for each atom of the crystals, which is going to have to take in considerations the ambient factors as well as the ambient agents at which the crystal is actually coexist, or at which the crystal is in, or at which the crystal is used, or at which the crystal is actually spotted by multiplication, or even by calculation, or taking in consideration the absolute temperature of the ambient at which the crystal is actually coexist, and multiply them, or even multiply the temperature by the Boltzmann constant, in this case we're just going to have to extract, or even in this case we're just going to have to obtain the average energy for each atom of the crystals, at which for each of the crystals, depending or even taking into consideration the ambient or the ecology at which the crystal is actually coexist. The energy will lead or even result in the vibration of the atoms around a particular balance spot. يعني تؤدي الطاقة إلى اهتزاز الذرة حول موضع اتزان خاص. كلما ارتفعت درجة الحرارة, more energy elevation or more temperature elevations, broader vibration broadband or even broader vibrations bandwidth you can get, at which they are denoted as the lattice vibrations, which are the mostly or even oftenly or occasionally, not oftenly, denoted as lattice vibrations. يعني تسع نطاق هذه الاهتزازات كلما ارتفعت درجة الحرارة. More energy elevation or even more temperature elevations, or broader bandwidth for the vibration you can get, or broader bandwidth for vibration, or the more or even broader vibrations bandwidth you can get, which are mainly or even which are oftenly denoted as the lattice vibrations. يعني تسع نطاق الاهتزازات broader, يعني vibrations bandwidth broader, vibration bandwidth broader you will get. يعني نحصل على اتساع نطاق الاهتزازات التي يطلق عليها اهتزازات الشبيكة، وتؤدي إلى تولد سيل من الموجات resulting in the generations of the avalanche of waves, or even a stream of waves, or even a stream of in crystal waves. يعني تولد سيل من الموجات داخل البلورية تعرف بالأمواج المرنة, termed as the flexible waves, or even the resilient waves. resilient يعني المرنة, flexible كذلك المرنة, تعرف بالأمواج المرنة. وتستثير هذه الموجات بدورها كافة الذرات في الشبكة البلورية, and the waves in this manner will inflict excitations for entire atoms in the crystal lattice in a massive mobility known as the usual pattern of the lattice vibrations, of the usual pattern or the lattice oscillations, and we will disambiguate this in the pre-indicated models. يعني سوف نستعرض ذلك في النماذج المشار إليها آنفا, أو a posteriori indicated models. وسوف we will disambiguate يعني سوف نستعرض ذلك في النماذج المشار إليها آنفا, in the or in the successor models, or in the a posteriori indicated models, or a posteriori models, يعني في النماذج البعدية أو النماذج الآن التي سنأخذها. homogeneous atomic lane, الخط الذري المتجانس, or taut cord, أو الوتر المشدود, or stressed cord, الوتر المشدود. Fire! In order to identify the vibration patterns, we assume a model of a solid material in single three-dimensional solid modules in the form of a linear chain connected that consists of very point particles, or even very point identical objects separated by interstitial distance a. The chain is actually related, or the connected chain can be considered as a stressed cord fixed at both ends. If any oscillation or any vibrations actually flew it to the cord with a wavelength of lambda bigger than a, or even lambda is older than, or even huger than a, so the models will be a homogeneous lane at which stand waves will be generated, at which stand waves will be generated, as illustrated in Figure 1.3. If the shift, or even the point shift u, so the wave propagation velocity vs is determined from the wave equations. يعني إذا صارت في الوتر ذبذبة لها طول موجي, if any frequency or even if any oscillation flew to a cord with a wavelength of lambda huger than a, or even lambda bigger than a, so the model will become a homogeneous line at which a standing waves will be generated. يعني في أن النموذج يصبح خطا متجانسا تتولد فيه موجات واقفة, or even experiencing. The model will be a homogeneous lane experiencing the generation of standing waves. يعني تتولد فيه أو يواجه تولد موجات موقوفة واقفة, أو تحصل فيه تولد موجات واقفة. يا رب العالمين. كما في شكل 1-3 كما ترون. إذا كانت الإزاحة النقطية if the point shift u so فإن سرعة انتشار الموجة wave diffusion or wave propagation velocity vs تتحدد من المعادلة الموجية is determined from the wave equation. يعني خط متجانس وتر مصنوع من مادة متجانس تسري به موجة، تتحدد شكل الموجة والإزاحة النقطية خلال اهتزاز الحبل as well as the waveform as well as the point shift u is indicated right here, stipulated as you can see right in front of you, will be determined from the wave equations. As a result, for stressed cord vibrations due to exterior effect. يعني نتيجة لاهتزاز الوتر المشدود يعزى إلى تأثير قوى خارجية. The wave equation is actually as follows. يعني المعادلة الموجية هي كالتالي. Partial squared u or partial x squared equal to 1 to v, as you can see right for you. 1 partial squared u to partial, as you can see right for you. So vs is actually equal as follows. The e is the longitudinal elastic moduli of the cord material. يعني ثابت المرونة الطولي لمادة الوتر، صفة خاصة بمادة الوتر. A very particular or even a very particular particulate a very particular or even a special feature for the cord material لمادة الوتر or the string material. Rho is the longitudinal density of the cord materials, and the solution for the equation or the general form of solution of the equations indicated as follows is in the form u equal to u naught exponential j omega plus kx. Here, as you can see, stipulated 3-3 or figure 3-3 or as well as in the figure 3-4. Here, as you can see right in front of you, a graphic representation or even a graphic analog for the stress cord according to the perspective of the dividing relevancy. يعني هنا كما ترون رسم تمثيلي لعلاقة الوتر المشدود أو لعلاقة التفريق أو لتصرف الوتر المشدود حسب علاقة التفريق لخط متجانس من الجسيمات كما قلنا في الوتر. Here, as you can see right in front of you, this is the homogeneous line centered at the origin, or centered at the point O exactly, and the K is the modulus, or even the K is considered the the Kelvin or the temperature of the ambient, as well as the omega is the angular velocity, and the V and K is the very materialized or even materialized constants or even substantial constants. يعني خواص مادية. So the omega here, as you can see right in front of you, omega equals to the multiplication of the product of the velocity and Boltzmann constant. يعني هنا الأوميجا يعني الزخم الزاوي يساوي أو التردد الزاوي يساوي الضرب بين السرعة وثابت بولتزمان. The theorem is actually, or even the consequence is actually denoted as the dividing relevancy. يعني تعرف النتيجة بعلاقة التفريق which relay or yokes وهي تربط the angular velocity or even the angular frequency omega with the wave number k or the wave number k and presented by the division curve or even analoged by division curve figure listed in figure 2-3 here right in front of you. يعني تمثل بمنحنى التفريق dividing curve حسب شكل 3-2 كما ترون أمامكم علاقة التفريق لخط متجانس من الجسيمات تربط التردد الزاوي أوميجا بالعدد الموجي كي. In the model stipulated يعني في النموذج المنصوص عليه منصوص فيه phase velocity Vp will be equal to the group velocity. The group velocity يعني تساوي سرعة الجماعة يعني السرعة الكلية مع سرعة الطور Vg V group و Vp V phase يعني سرعة الطور velocity phase velocity as well as group velocity. A new topic here to visualize يعني موضوع جديد شبكة أحادية الذرات بحث في شبكة أحادية الذرات or visualization of the monoatomic unidimensional lattice or monoatomic one dimensional lattice. يعني شبكة أحادية الذرات أحادية البعد. In this model, we're just going to have to consider it as an identical atomic linear chain, a mass of m or interstitial distances, as well as an interatomic spacing A, relate the atoms or even bond the atoms with each other by some sort of helical springs. يعني خلال ما يشبه زنبركات أو نوابض لولبية أو هليجية. لولبية يعني helical. And the longitudinal displacement is actually pretty much satisfying Hooke's law. And considering the interactions only between the adjacent atoms, longitudinal in between. So the longitudinal displacement in between will be satisfying Hooke's law, and considering the reaction or even considering the physical interactions is actually pretty much restricted only between adjacent atoms. يعني التفاعل محصورا restricted محصورا فقط بين الذرات المتجاورة. وإذا كانت Fu represents or even Fu بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحي Fu here represents the effective force on the nth or the nth order atom, as you can effective force on the nth order. Un plus 1 represents the atomic shaft with the the atomic nth plus 1 shaft here of the balanced location. Un plus 1 it represents the atomic displacement or even the atomic nth plus 1 order shaft of the balanced location. And as you can see, the atomic arrangements as well as the atomic bind or even atomic bonding assortments is actually pretty much consistive or inconsistively explained or disambiguated here at the course or the context that we're actually going through right now. يعني شكل الذرات, the shape of atoms, as well as the atomic generacy, يعني التولد الذري أو الحركية الذرية موضحة بالأشكال التالية أو موضحة بالشرح التالي. The atomic kinetics or the atomic mobility is actually pretty much illustrated in the following paragraph. Or also in the following steps, as you can see right in front of you. Fn is the atomic displacement, just like we said. Fn is the nth order atomic shift, or even the nth order, just like we said here, the nth order, or the Fn, the Fu here. The Fu is the Fn. Yeah, the Fn is the effective force of the atom over the nth order, as you can see right in front of you. أو المؤثرة على الرتبة النونية كما ترون. Beta Un, just like we said here, represent the atomic shaft or the nth order atomic shaft of the balanced location. يعني الإزاحة الذرية ذات الرتبة النونية من موضع الاتزان أو عن موضع الاتزان. Un plus 1, as you can see right in front of you, minus Un, as you can see, minus Un, as you can see right in front of you. كما ترون أمامكم. Un زائد واحد, Un زائد واحد, Un plus 1, as you can see right in front of you, Un plus 1 is actually the atomic or better like the atomic shift or the atomic displacement of the balanced location of the nth plus 1 order. يعني الإزاحة الذرية عن موضع الاتزان بمقدار N زائد واحد أو بمقدار Un زائد واحد. Beta represents the pole constants for the interatomic or the interatomic springs. Also in figure 3.3 resume the solution or the general form of solution for the equation is as follows. يعني نفرض الحل عن المعادلة على الصورة. Un equals to and not is the initial atomic displacement or the initial nth order atomic shaft here from the balanced location. يعني الإزاحة الذرية الابتدائية من موضع الاتزان. Exponential j omega just like we said here, the omega is actually considered as a product or even should be represented here or even visualized here as a product between the k and the vs. Vs is the velocity and the k is the wave number or the omega, as well as the omega is the angular velocity or the angular frequency. This kind of product is actually the product of the velocity as well as the k. The k is the wave number, just like we stated before. يعني الأوميجا هو التردد الزاوي حاصل ضرب السرعة مع كما منصوص عليه حاصل ضرب السرعة يعني product of velocity ضرب النقطي طبعا. الجداء، جداء يعني الضرب، جداء أو ضرب السرعة مع مع ثابت العدد الموجي للتردد الحاصل. By applying the solution yields، بتطبيق الحل ينتج the following form. The following wave motion. as you can see right in front of you. sawtooth wave motion يعني حركة موجية على شكل أسنان المناشير. sawtooth wave motion يعني حركة موجية على شكل أسنان المناشير كما ترون أمامكم هنا. M is the mass يعني M هنا الكتلة في مربع التردد الزاوي. by or M here predicted multiplied by the square angle of mass over the angular frequency equals to مع مربع التردد الزاوي equals to beta is the power effect or the power coefficient of springs يعني مؤثر القوة على في النوابض exponential IKA plus exponential minus JKA are the vectors يعني JKA و IKA هنا المتجهات minus 2. So FU equal to, just like we said before, FU is the affected power to the nth order يعني القوة المؤثرة كما قلنا على الرتبة النونية في الرتبة النونية يساوي beta exponential or the beta the exponent function of JKA for the vector over to 2 minus exponential JKA to 2 as you can see right in front of you, illustrated or even formulated in the equation of 3/8. This is the wave motion, or this is the wave kinetics actually launching from the n minus 3 to n minus 2 anyway, and propagates again right from the n originated right here in the middle to n plus 1 plus n plus 2 to n plus 3 to n plus nth time or nth rank or even nth order, just like we stipulated before. This is the displacement. This is as you can see right in front of the arrow, the reversible arrow. يعني هنا السهم المتعاكس بالاتجاهين. The reversible arrows, as you can see right in front of you, are the displacement or are the shifts, the atomic shifts of the balanced locations. يعني السهم المتعاكسة هنا كما ترون في الاتجاهين يمكن تمثيلها أو يمكن نطلق عليها رمز الإزاحة الذرية عن موضع الاتزان. As you can see, as illustration here for the terms of the equations stipulated يعني كشرح لحدود المعادلة أو حدود الدالة المعطاة هنا دالة 3/8 بيتا equals to CA and rho equals to MA as you can see right in front of you. بيتا يساوي C إلى A والرو الكثافة تساوي الM إلى A. تؤدي المعالجة الجبرية لهذه العلاقة the algebraic processing or even the algebraic processing of the relevancy will lead to as you can see right in front of you omega equals to plus 2v as you can see sine v as is the velocity sine k8 to 2. In this consequent when k is set to 0 يعني في هذه النتيجة عندما يكون الكي صفر أو عندما يكون الكي أكبر من صفر. هنا الكي أكبر من صفر at this point where the k is set to a bigger than 0 value يعني عندما يكون الكي قيمة أكثر من الصفر. عشو كي والله. So the omega will equal to Vs by k. 3 minus 9a. This is 39a. This is equation 39a as you can see right for you. The presence of any numerical value for phase velocities with the absence of the or with the presence of the value with the presence of the global velocity value indicates that we are about to deal with or we are dealing with standing waves. يعني يشير إلى أننا بصدد التعامل مع موجات أو بصدد موجات واقفة. And the figure 4.3 illustrates the dividing curve according to the dividing relevancy. يعني شكل 4/3 يوضح منحنى التفريق طبقا لعلاقة التفريق. قاعد هنا علاقة التفريق لسلسلة الذرات الخطية. Here's the dividing curve for the chain of linear atoms. Figure 4.3 illustrating the dividing curve for the chain or even the series of linear atoms. يعني منحنى التفريق لسلسلة من الذرات الخطية. As you can see right here in front of you is the pi or pi to alpha. Pi by alpha or pi times alpha and pi times alpha and the same both directions or the same both reversible regions or even the same both counter regions for each other. Alright, counter regions positive and negative. not the counter, but for us is me like in the both quadrants, in the both quadrants. Here at the quadrants here, as a two-dimensional representation, or as a two-dimensional analog, and here at the quadrant as first quadrant and the second quadrant here. The second quadrant at the third quadrant as an Cartesian analog represent, or Cartesian analog for the graph illustrated here in figure 4.3. يعني كتمثيل كارتيزي أو كتمثيل ديكارتي للإحداثيات هنا في الربع الثاني والثالث كما ترون هنا. The figure is actually analog, or even the figure visualizes the consequence. Then it's obviously then outward and out from يعني ومنهم we can only clarify that the frequency is only permissible to penetrate with two right to the solids are divided into two main sections, known as the acoustic branch or the acoustic section, and the farther section is actually known or termed as the optical section. يعني تنقسم إلى فرعين أساسيين: الترددات التي يسمح بنفاذها داخل الجسم, the frequencies that are actually allowable, the frequencies that are permissible to penetrate to the solid object, يعني يسمح بنفاذها داخل الجسم الصلب التي نتعامل معه هنا لقياس الترددات خلاله, تنقسم إلى فرعين أساسيين, are divided into two main sections, known as the acoustic sections as well as the or visual section, or the auditory section, and the visual section or the optical section. auditory يعني الصوتي, الفرع الصوتي, أو الأكوستيك السمعي, أو الفرع sound section, or the auditory section. Now as you can see, we have a theorem here, or even have a consequence that they can interpret. If any atomic lattice was actually excited or even agitated or augmentated by the auditory sections from due to the effect by a sound wave or by acoustic wave, so the amplitudes of the adjacent atoms frequencies or the amplitude of the adjacent atoms vibrations will move in the same directions. يعني فإن سعات الذبذبات الذرات المتجاورة سوف تتحرك في نفس الاتجاه فقط just only إذا استثيرت شبيكة ذرية بالفرع الصوتي أو بإطلاق موجات صوتية خلال الشبيكة, or by launching a stream of auditory or even by a stream of sound waves to any atomic lattice they're actually used to deal with, will augmentate the adjacent atoms oscillations frequencies, or the adjacent atoms oscillations amplitude, and the atom shifts will be in the same directions or the same direction as the resultant displacement of the affected wave. يعني ستكون إزاحة الذرات في نفس اتجاه الإزاحة الناتجة عن الموجة المؤثرة, with the same direction of the resulting shift of the affecting wave, يعني الموجة المؤثرة, وتسري بذلك موجات طولية في الشبكة. Thus يعني بذلك therefore a longitudinal waves will flow to the lattice, will flow through the lattice, وتسري بذلك موجات طولية خلال الشبكة, أي أن الشبكة أحادية الذرات, which means that monoatomic lattice will only be excited or even will only be augmentated by the sound section mechanism. يعني الشبكة الذرية تستثار فقط من خلال ميكانيكيات الفرع الصوتي فقط. In case the lattice was augmentated or even agitated or even excited by the visual section, it will be very effective, or the visual section will be very effective by using or even by launching an electromagnetic waves. So the adjacent atom oscillation or the adjacent atom vibration amplitudes will be counter to each other in the directions according to the consequence 325. Mass center will remain constant for the atoms, as well as the diatomic lattice, يعني الشبكة ثنائية الذرات, only correspond for that kind or even correspond for that sort of the exciters. The main condition here is for the fundamental cell to contain two atoms. It doesn't even require for the two atoms to be different. So diamonds, as well as the HCP, the closed packed hexagonal crystal lattice structure systems, is actually featurizes by the visual section augmentation. يعني لا يحتاج أن تكون الذرتان مختلفتان. فالألماس وكذلك الشبكة السداسية محكمة الرص ال HCP تتميزان بالاستثارة أو تتميزان باستثارة تهما بالفرع البصري. يعني الفرع البصري الاستثارة تكون به من خلال موجات الكهرومغناطيسية. So the visual section is actually inflame or even augmentate the excitations by using a very electromagnetic waves to be inserted or even to be introduced or even to be perforated to the lattice or the atomic lattice. يعني عن طريق موجات كهرومغناطيسية تدخل إلى الشبيكة الذرية. أما الشبيكة بالفرع الصوتي تتم الاستثارة باستخدام موجات صوتية. So at the visuals or the auditory section as you can see, or as we indicated before, sound waves will be used. الفونونات هنا كتعريف الفونونات هنا كمات اهتزاز الشبيكة. الفونونات هي كمات اهتزاز الشبيكة. أما الفوتونات فهي كمات الطاقة. كمات الطاقة ككمات المنبعثة من الحزم الضوئية والككمات المنبعثة من الحزم الكهرومغناطيسية في ظاهرة التأثير الكهروضوئي. So the phonons here we just have to differentiate. يعني يجب أن نميز بين الفونون والفوتون. We're just going to have to differentiate between the phonons as well as the photons. The phonons are the light's vibration constants or the light's vibrations quants, and the photons are the energy quants. يعني الفوتونز هي كمات الطاقة emitted, or the energy quants as you can see right here, or as we indicated here for the photons, the energy quants actually emitted from the electromagnetic waves as well as the photo waves accompanying for diploid particles emitted or even launched from objects, from luminescent objects or even luminescent objects. يعني الأجسام المتوهجة luminescent objects الأجسام المتوهجة تكون على شكل موجات كهرومغناطيسية مثل الموجات الضوئية حسب ظاهرة التأثير الكهروضوئي according to the photoelectric phenomena or the photoelectric incident phenomena. Any solid atoms will vibrate at any specific temperature around a particular balance spot. يعني تهتز ذرات أي مادة صلبة عند أي درجة حرارة محددة حول موضع اتزان خاص. وقد تمثل الاهتزازات بموجات تعرف بموجات الشبيكة. And the vibrations may represented by waves known as the Lutz waves appears in the atoms in the form of the simultaneous repeated displacement or simultaneous repeated shifts. يعني تظهر في الذرات على هيئة أو على شكل إزاحات تلقائية متكررة. قد تكون طولية maybe longitudinal أو مستعرضة or transverse. وتتميز بطول موجي and featurizes with a wavelength lambda and wave number k equal to 2 pi lambda and the propagation velocity v and linear frequency v as well as very much angular frequency omega, as well as the lattice vibration energy is considered, or as well as the lattice vibration energy is considered quantified energy. يعني تعتبر طاقة ذبذبات الشبيكة طاقة مكمات يعني كمية quantified. Usually a unit step function unit step functions actually representing the wave displacement transition in any solids by a transition of single phonon or even two phonons or even more, as actually with an energy of hv equals to h dash omega, and the momentum h dash k as well as the momentum as well as يعني كذلك كمية حركة أو زخم h dash k. k h dash هو ثابت بلانك. h dash k. Thus, the frequency or the thermal vibrations are actually thermally excited or the thermally augmented phonons, and the thermal conductions at the insulators solids or in the insulative solids due actually يعني يعزى في الحقيقة to the mobility of the phonons إلى حركة الفونونات. وتقدر طاقة الفونون الواحد بالقيمة, and the energy of the single phonon is actually estimated to the value 0.8 electron volts. Heat capacity of solids. يعني السعة الحرارية للجوامد للمواد الصلبة. The heat quantity or the amount of heat Q is actually considered very important physical quantity in the domain or in the field of physics and thermodynamics. يعني تعتبر Q من الكميات الفيزيائية المهمة جدا في مجال علم الفيزياء والديناميكية الحرارية يعني thermodynamics إذا ما تم تعيينها وقياسها تحت ضغط P in case of it was assigned and measured under a constant P pressure. Known as enthalpy H or even the heat content of the system يعني أو المحتوى الحراري للمنظومة. أما إذا تم قياسها تحت حجم ثابت whereas or in case it was measured under a very constant volume or even was measured according to a very constant volume it will be termed in the form or even it will be denoted as the internal energy of the system. يعني إذا تم قياسها وفقا لحجم ثابت مو تحت حجم ثابت وإنما وفقا لحجم ثابت سوف تعرف بالطاقة الداخلية للمنظومة التي يجري وصفها to the system about to be described or even about to be visualized. Thus so وعلى ذلك فإنه dQp equal to dH يعني التغير بالطاقة أو التغير بكمية الحرارة وفقا للضغط يساوي تغير بالإنثالبية. dQv equals to dE التغير بالطاقة الداخلية. إذا كمية الحرارة التغير بالكمية الحرارة وفقا للحجم here the change in temperature or the change in heat quantity according to the constant volume will be equal to the change of internal energy يعني سوف يساوي التغير في الطاقة الداخلية كما قلنا. And the heat capacity for the materials or the heat capacity for the materials generally and particularly the solids يعني تعرف السعة الحرارية المواد عموما والجوامد خصوصا بأنها معدل تغير كمية الحرارة as the rate of the heat quantity change for dt or for the sake of dt alright. No, for the sake of, but only for dt as you can see right in front of you in this equation or even illustrated in the equations ahead. Or Cp is actually representing the heat capacity of the materials with a constant pressure and Cv equals the heat capacity of the materials with a constant volume. Scientific experiments available are unable to assign very much helpful to assign the value of Cp with very high accuracy. High accurate value of Cp. Whereas you can calculate the Cv value from any theoretical relationships according to a very standard models. يعني وفق النماذج معمول بها. ومن أكثر العلاقات شيوعا and the most common relevancies are Cp minus Cv equals to alpha Vt as you can see right in front of you. Well, alpha is the volumetric expulsion coefficient for a material or even for any mass with volume V and the compressibility or isothermal compressibility factor beta T يعني معامل انضغاط isothermy at the absolute temperature T gives the Bt which equals to the reciprocal of the volumetric elastic moduli by the relationship يعني واللي يساوي مقلوب reciprocal مقلوب معامل المرونة الحجمي بالعلاقة. Bp equals to as you can see right in front of you is partial which means that the change is actually done for multiple dimensions or even the change done in multiple dimensions يعني هنا التغير يحصل في أبعاد متعددة. The partial V as you can see right in front of you represents the change of as you can see right in front of you. We can only differentiate between Cp and Cv obviously in case of gases where it equals to R to J, where R is the general constant of gases or the perfect gas constants and J is the joule equivalent يعني J مكافئ جول وR والثابت العام الغازات يمكن التمييز بين Cp والCv في حالة الغازات. مهمة جدا لطلبة الصف الثاني مهمة أرجوكم أرجوكم يجب التركيز عليها please second graders please second stage I would like you to concentrate to the very talk here or to the very explanation here يعني أرجوكم التركيز على الشرح الآتي. الفرق بين CP و CV the differentiation between Cp and Cv. But in case of liquids and solids, the difference will be very much and be presented in the very high temperatures. And the figure 10.3 is actually represents the experimental or the empirical plot of the heat capacity CV and its change with the absolute temperature. In case we can, or even where we can summarize the scientific regards or the scientific reservations as follows. At the high temperatures, the heat capacity will be fixed, or the heat capacity will be stabilized and given by relationship CV equal to R 3R. Equation 41.3. At the temperatures, the CV will exponentially escalate and ends up to zero, or even come up to zero. يعني وتقول يصل وفقا للقانون الثالث الثرموديناميكية الحرارية according to the third law of thermodynamics. In a variety of temperatures, يعني في مدى درجات حرارة أو درجات حرارة يعني كثير من درجات الحرارة of 20 Kelvin, CV will behave differently with the following image or with the following range of temperatures. يعني سوف تأخذ في سلوكها مع درجات حرارة الصورة المختلفة التالية. CV equals AT cubic plus gamma T for metallics. Following equations should be comprehended, or following equations should be even reinforcedly or consolidatedly memorized. يعني يجب حفظها بقوة المعادلات للسي في. CV equal to CV the heat capacity with the constant volume يعني السعة الحرارية بثبات الحجم equals to AT cubic for non-metallic for metallics for you. CV equal to AT squared for the laminar compounds يعني من المركبات الطبقية. CV equal to or the just like we said the heat capacity for the constant volume أو السعة الحرارية للحجم الثابت equals to AT for the linear molecular chains compounds لمركبات السلاسل الجزيئية الخطية حيث تمثل A وغاما قيما ثابتة where R gamma are constant values or constantly valued يعني مقيمة بثبات أو قيما ثابتة. وهكذا نجد أنه في الوقت الذي تعطى فيه النظرية التقليدية so we can find at the time at the time in which the conventional theory of Dioling and Betty will donate or even will give the same constant value of heat capacity. So the practical or the empirical trials illustrate they're actually at full dependent for the heat capacity of temperatures, which means their Dioling and Petty rules will be even satisfied only at high temperatures. But if the temperatures are extremely goes up and come up to the right at the absolute zero exactly, the contradiction or even contradiction actually triggered Einstein exactly at 1906, Albert Einstein, to reformulate a theory to explain the heat capacity behavior or to interpret the heat capacity behaviors via temperatures according to the quantum mechanics. يعني محاولة صياغة نظرية تفسير سلوك السعة الحرارية مع درجات حرارة بالاعتماد على ميكانيكية أو بتفسير ميكانيكية الكم according to the interpretation of quantum mechanics proposed by Einstein. يعني اقترحت من قبل أينشتاين. نموذج أينشتاين للسعة الحرارية. Einstein's model of heat capacity. Einstein deal with the frequency of the oscillated atoms as they are very harmonic oscillatants. يعني كأنها متذبذبات توافقية. بتذبذب كل منها في استقلالية تامة عما حوله. By each frequency and at full or in a total complete independence of what around of the ambient. If the linear displacement or even the linear shift for any oscillatant is U, the total energy or even the overall energy will be given EU or before the oscillatant or for the vibrator will be given by the classic relevancy for the both potential and kinetic energies. يعني إذا كانت الإزاحة الخطية لأي متذبذب هي U حسب تفسير أينشتاين تعطى الطاقة الكلية EU the overall energy will be given for the vibrator للمتذبذب أو المهتز بالعلاقة الكلاسيكية by the classical relevancy or by the classical relationship for the both kinetic and potential energies لطاقتي الحركة والموضع أو الجهد. EU equals to 1 to 2 mvu squared plus 1 to 2 b beta u squared. Vu squared is the kinetic energy, mv U squared is the kinetic energy, as well as the B U squared is the potential energy. But by using quantum mechanics إلا أنه باستخدام mechanical chem, which is going to have to assign the energy levels for the harmonic vibrators by the relationship. يعني يجب علينا تعيين مستويات طاقة للمتذبذب التوافقي بالعلاقة المعطاة. 433 يعني علاقة 34 En equals to N H dash. where N is a positive integer value. يعني N قيمة صحيحة موجبة أو عدد صحيح موجب. قد يطلق عليه عدد الكم التذبذبي. Or maybe denoted as the osculative quantum number. Thus, the oscillation energy will be a quantified energy valued as follows. يعني بذلك تصبح طاقة التذبذب طاقة مكمة مقيمة أو تأخذ القيم valued يعني تأخذ القيم 2 H omega 2 H omega H omega and 0. Illustrated in figure 11.3. As a consequence for this يعني يترتب على ذلك vibrated oscillations or the vibrated amount oscillations with the extreme with the extreme oscillation or the extreme elevation of temperature away from the RT, or even close to the RT. Extreme elevation of temperature is close to the RT. Come on, tell me. Different levels for the harmonic vibrator, or different levels for the harmonic oscillator. يعني مستويات حقيقية actual levels for the harmonic oscillator, or very actual levels for the harmonic vibrator. يعني مستويات حقيقية موضحة للمتذبذب التوافقي حسب تفسير أينشتاين according to an Einstein interpretation. Einstein presumed a model, or Einstein proposed a model consists of very identical solid particles, all oscillated or all vibrated in the single frequency. This is the corresponding frequency of the visual section, considering the microatomic mass m and the diatomic lattice have or has come to the infinity, to an infinity, has come to an infinity. قد آلت إلى ما لا نهاية. يعني الذرة أو المساحة تكون هائلة تؤول إلى ما لا نهاية. In case of the atomic oscillators and taking into consideration the solid 3 dimensions, the overall energy E in Einstein models will become in the form. يعني إذا كان عدد المتذبذبات الذرية N مع الأخذ بنظر الاعتبار الأبعاد الفراغية الثلاثة X Y Z، فإن الطاقة الكلية E في نموذج أينشتاين تصبح E equal to 3N dot omega exponential dot KT. By comparing the consequence بمقارنة النتيجة or by comparing the result by the classical thermal energy، يعني بمقارنة النتيجة بالطاقة الحرارية الكلاسيكية in any crystal contains of N atoms or N amount of atoms given by the relationships، أو في بلورة تحتوي على N atoms يعني عدد ذرات معينة من عدد ذرات معين والتي تعطى بالعلاقة given by the relationships E equals to 3N KT. We can only find that crystal energy in Einstein models is frequency dependent. يعني نجد أن طاقة البلورة في نموذج أينشتاين اعتمدت على التردد بعكس هذه الطاقة الكلاسيكية. Very opposite or even unlike the classical energy. Like the classical relationship or the classical relevancy. And the figure 12.3 illustrates their change with T, and we can only define the Einstein temperature theta A by the relationship. كما ترون أمامكم CB والجاما والفيتا. هنا العلاقة بين الجاما والفيتا يعني بين درجة حرارة أينشتاين والدرجة الحرارة الكلفينية أو وبين السي بي، تزايد السي بي بالنسبة إلى درجة الحرارة إلى درجات حرارة معينة لمعادن مختلفة، مثل السي يو عند درجة حرارة 243 والاي جي يمكن تعينه عند درجة حرارة 226، يعني تعيين السي بي له عند درجة حرارة يعني تعيين أينشتاين أو تعيين درجة حرارة أينشتاين عند سي بي معينة. بي بي 102 كلفن، سي في أو هنا يعني هنا سي ار كل كروم 1860 كلفن، أو سي كالسيوم سي ار كروم theta E is given by the relationships. يعني theta E يعني هنا درجة حرارة temperature Einstein proposed temperature يعني درجة الحرارة المقترحة من قبل أينشتاين يمكن أن تعطى بالعلاقة اللي بالعلاقة can be given by the relationship omega equal to HV where the omega is the angular corresponding frequency for the visual oscillation section V is the linear corresponding frequency. You may know, or these may define the angular frequency or the angular frequency can be also termed as the Einstein frequency or Einstein proposed frequency, omega E, and the crystal energy in Einstein model will come up to يعني وتؤول بذلك طاقة البلورة في نموذج أينشتاين إلى E equals to 3nk theta E exponential, as you can see right in front of you, and the heat capacity will be in the form CV partial E partial, as you can see right in front of you, according to the interpretation of internal energy of Einstein or internal energy proposed by Einstein. يعني السعة الحرارية وفقا لتفسير الطاقة الداخلية المقترح من قبل أينشتاين تكون على الشكل الآتي will be in the following form CV equals partial E, as you can see right in 3 and K theta E squared exponential theta E exponential theta E at the elevated temperatures يعني في درجات الحرارة العالية where T pretty much huge or even bigger than so exponential theta E will approximately equals to 1 plus theta E. Approximately equals يعني يساوي تقريبا. Okay. And the heat capacity will come up to CV equals to 3 and K. And the value obtained والقيمة المستقاة تتماشى مع النظرية التقليدية is actually going along or can also get along with the conventional theory and the consequence of Deligne-Beatty. But at the higher temperatures or the elevated temperatures, T is then or even than F theta T. The exponent of theta T is actually bigger than, as you can see, or even where we can neglect, as you can see right there. So the heat capacity will come up to CV3 and K theta E squared exponential theta E, or exponents of theta E. The equations were speculated by an exponential in the heat capacity, or even by exponential exponential elevation of the heat capacity with the elevated heat or the elevated temperatures. This is pretty much going along with the consequence, or pretty much going along with the shape of the experimental results. يعني هذلك ما يتفق جدا مع شكل النتائج التجريبية. If the relevancy between CV and the temperature was plotted according to the Einstein model, illustrated in figure, or even illustrated in the equation 54.3, we get the illustrated curve in the figure 13.3, which represents the relationships between the copper Cu elements. We can only find apparently that the Cu will donate the figure, يعني الكبر النحاس يعطي شكل القياسات التجريبية, the figure or even the shape of the empirical standards of the heat capacity, which is like classic theory was up to. And we can only notice that Einstein proposed theories totally and completely going along with the complete trial consequence at the elevated temperatures. But at the room temperatures and elevated temperature, or at the room temperatures, the theory speculates, يعني تتنبأ النظرية, that the heat capacity will becoming zero according to, or the heat capacity will become more than zero according to any exponents function or any exponential functions illustrated in the equation 57.3. Whereas the empirical results clarifies that the oscillations actually the oscillation is functionalized by T3, يعني functionalized يعني يصير تبعا للدالة T3, ولذلك ظهر فرق بين القيم التجريبية. Thus there was a difference between the empirical differences and the valued, or even between the empirical or between the trial values and the values were speculated by Einstein's at the high temperatures. This is actually considered as thermal conductivity of insulators, التوصيل الحراري في العوازل. The thermal conductivity is a heat transfer process from a part to another within a materials, part to another of a material, any materials as a result for a temperature or even thermal gradient or thermal tendency for the insulators from the solids, which lies for any free electrons in their lattices, and the thermal transfer or even the heat conductions will be considered as practical interpretations for the phonon diffusions from a very incendiary regions to further cold regions. يعني من مناطق ساخنة إلى مناطق باردة، مناطق ساخنة أو حارقة إلى مناطق باردة. The thermal or even the heat conduction is actually represented by the proportionality constants in the relationship between the heat energy flowing flux Q by the unit areas in unit time, or by unit times in unit areas, and the heat gradient the X between any 2 points with different temperatures dt, or 2 points different temperatures dt, and distanted off each other by dx. يعني يبعدان عن بعضهما مسافة dx، أي إنه Q equals to K by or multiplied by dt to dx or by dt by dx. يعني Q يساوي K مضروب نقطيا بالتصاعد الحراري. was actually productive multiplied by the heat escalation or by the thermal escalation, where K is the thermal or the heat conduction coefficient، حيث تمثل K معامل التوسط الحراري. And a system consists of a very optimal harmonic oscillators or very optimal harmonic vibrators. The lattice vibration pattern or the multiple poly vibration patterns of lattice will be totally dependent of each other, which means there is actually no conjugation between the different, which means there's actually pretty much conjugation between the different manners. If any matter is actually excited, so the entire system will steadily be vibrated to the infinity, and such a system or will propagate in the system, or even the vibrating energy will propagate directly to the system by the acoustic radiation, where it will flow in the system by sound wave or by sound velocity. There will be a resistance for that kind or that sort of energy flow, and the heat conduction equation or the heat conduction coefficient will reach an infinitesimal values, but the reality is totally different. But the reality is totally similar. يعني الواقع متشابه وليس يختلف. In order to percept، يعني كي تسمى إدراك، in order to realize the heat conduction process at the insulator solids, we can only require to know the rate of heat flux of phonons throughout the concerned crystal. يعني يحتاج إلى الأمر إلى معرفة معدل الدفق الحراري أو التدفق الحراري بالفونونات عبر البلورة المعنية. Kinetic theory of gases, which a very classic theory, gives the value for the heat conduction coefficients by relevancy, by the following relationship. يعني تعطي نظرية الحركية الغازات أو the kinetic theory of gases، يعني تعطي النظرية الحركية الغازات، وهي نظرية كلاسيكية جدا، very much classic theory, gives the value of the heat conduction coefficient by the relationship K equals to 1/3 CV1 or CVL, where C is the heat capacity for unit volumes and V is the molecular speeds or the molecular velocities. L is the mean free path متوسط المسار الحر الجزيئي of the molecules. We can even take the relevancy as a fundamental or as a foundation if we consider the presence of phonons as a gas propagate throughout the materials known as the gas model. ذلك فيما يعرف بنموذج الغاز أو denoted as gas models. We already seen in previous or the formal appendix that thermal capacity is constant at high temperatures and oscillated according to the T cubic function, or according to the function T cubic at the elevated temperatures. Mostly the speed or even the velocity will be constant, or oftenly the velocity will be constant. Oftenly the velocity would be constant. غالبا ما تبقى السرعة ثابتة. عندئذ تتعين قيمة معامل التوصيل الحراري. Then the value of the heat transfer coefficient or the heat conduction coefficient will be assigned K by the terms of the mean free path. يعني بدلالة or in terms of mean free path، بدلالة متوسط المسار الحر. هذا بالدور يتوقف على آليات التشتت This actually pretty much dependent to the mechanisms or the variety or the various dispersion mechanisms, or better the various spectrum mechanisms at the lattice, or even dependence of the dispersion mechanisms at the lattice, which can be restricted in the following procedures التي يمكن حصرها في العمليات التالية. Phonon to phonon reaction، يعني تفاعل فونون مع فونون. Phonon to phonon interaction، يعني تفاعل فونون مع فونون. Phonon dispersion at the mass walls، يعني تستت الفونونز عند جدران الكتلة أو جدران المادة. Each mechanism of the mechanism mentioned or stipulated will independently affect the value of thermal conduction. If the contributions of the phononic collisions Kp، يعني إذا كانت مساهمة التصادمات الفونونية Kb، and the contributions of the lattice dispersion يعني مساهمة التشتتات الشبكية Ki، as well as the dispersion contributions of the mass wall Kb, then we can determine the value of the thermal or the heat conduction coefficients of the concerned mass by the relationship K equal to the summation of the entire donated factors. يعني K يساوي مجموع مساهمات التشتت بين جدران المادة والتشتت الشبيكي وكذلك التشتت الفونوني أو تشتت التصادمات الفونونية. The phononic collisions dispersion. Phonon to phonon reactions or phonon to phonon interactions. If the effective powers if the interatomic effective powers are mostly harmonics, lead to a harmonic displacement or the harmonic shift in the boundaries of Hooke's law. يعني خلال حدود قانون هوك, there will be a collisions between or interphononic collisions. Thus, we can only find that the harmonic waves will cause heat resistance. This in case photons at the elevated temperatures. In case of photons at the elevated temperatures, the activity of the non-harmonic motions will be increased, and the material or the mass will be expanded, and the interactions will result, or the phonon to phonon interactions will result to the emergo, or even result to the appearance of a resistant or heat resistance. In the fully crystalline crystals, the distributions of the chemical elements isotopes represents a very important mechanism for phononic dispersion. وفي بلورة كان التبلور أو تامة التبلور كان والله صف الله أبلغ يمثل توزيع نظائر العناصر الكيميائية آلية هامة لتشتت الفوتونات, where the lattice periodicity will be pretty much laminated by the isotopic distribution بالتوزيع النظائري, leading to the elevation of the heat conductions, as well as there are always of the mechanical stress domains includes many of these locations in the crystals that leads to, or many of locations in the crystals that leads to a very appropriate or very optimal heat resistance directly proportions with the density of the locations as unit. Generally, more crystal density, more mean free path you can get, and more thermal conduction coefficient will be gained. Dispersion at the spaceman ledges, يعني تشتت عند حواف العينة. The electrical properties of solids. Introduction. Identifications of thermal and electrical conductivity phenomena was identified in the solids with the early 18th century, or even not the phenomena, the aspect. The identifications of thermal and electrical conduction aspect in solids was identified with the early at the early of 18th century, يعني بداية القرن الثامن عشر. But the real progress and the real theoretical progress came with P. Drott at 1900 AD, representing or proposed the theory of free electrons after discovery of the quantum mechanics at 1952. The visions and the various concept of the aspects has actually become rapidly unveiled or become rapidly compromised, leading to a very important innovations in the solid domains, including the rectifier, يعني المقاوم, transistor and thermistor, and the solar cells. It's pretty much obvious in the contemporaneous era, يعني واضح جدا في العصر الحديث أهمية الخلايا الشمسية, the importance of the solar cells extending a very clear energy or even supplying a very clear energy that can cover or even satisfies many of requirements in a variety of fields. تغطي احتياجات أو متطلبات كثيرة في مجالات هائلة. Variety of fields. Thermal conduction أو electrical conduction عفوا, التوصيل الكهربي. Solids are ranged in their capability of conducting electricity. يعني تختلف الجوامد في قدرتها على توصيل الكهرباء, يعني مدى للجوامد في توصيل الكهرباء. It has been found that the resistance are displaced by the conductor for the motions of the charged objects directly proportions with the length of the conductor and inversely proportions with the area section A, represented by the relationships R equal to rho, as you can see right here for you, where rho is the proportionality constant, is representing, or proportionality constant rho is actually representing the electrical specific resistance of material, of the conducting or the conductor material لمادة الموصل, يعني يمثل المقاومة الكهربائية النوعية لمقاومة الموصل أو المادة الموصلة. The electric current density J is actually defined as the intensity of current through unit areas at any section of the conductive material, يعني أن شدة تيار المار عبر وحدة المساحات أو خلال وحدة المساحات عند مقطع من المادة, and extremely associated to the electrical field epsilon, يعني ترتبط بشدة المجال الكهربائي, to the extremely associated to the electrical field intensity, يعني ترتبط بشدة المجال الكهربائي epsilon المؤثر بالعلاقة, or the effective electrical field intensity by the relevancy أو بالعلاقة J equals to rho or even sigma epsilon, whereas rho or the sigma is the reciprocal resistance for you is the specific electrical conductivity, which pretty much can get along with, يعني يمكن تفسيرها حسب electron charge. شو معنى الالكترون؟ قوانين مهمة جدا للصف الثالث لأشباه الموصلات. 2. Amount of electrons in unit volume n and defined as the charge density. 3. Mean drift velocity, يعني متوسط سرعة الدفع mu, known as mobility, تعرف بالتحركية, drift velocity أو التحركية. The conduction categorized according to the charge carriers, or the most common charge carriers of the materials, only where the electrons is actually negatively charged, or even holes, or even toles, positively charged, or even ions, including cations or even ions, such as cations and anions, play certain roles, or the chemical bonds play certain or vital role in identifications of this sort of the ionics, or the sort of conductions being ionics, and the mean of the velocity v is the or in the average velocity v is the drift velocity, and equals to Vm equals to tau e epsilon me. If n is the charge density, so the electrical charge or the electrical current density J given by the relationship, or is given by the relationship J equal to n e v dash equals to n e squared tau epsilon me, as you can show it for you. The relevancy is actually representing, or the relevancy stands for Ohm electricity law, يعني تمثل العلاقة قانون أوم في الكهربية, stands for electrically or the electricity Ohm's law, يعني تمثل علاقة قانون أوم في الكهربية, يعني where the mobility defined as the drift velocity for the unit field intensity, يعني تعرف التحركية بأنها سرعة الدفع لوحدة أو سرعة الانجراف، الدفع لوحدة شدة المجال. The quantum processing of the electrical conductivity, or the quantum treatment of the electrical conductivity. The charged particle is actually susceptible, or the charged particle in the model of free electron is actually pretty much susceptible to a potential difference of V of constant value. It has been found that mostly appropriate to be set to 0, as well as for the electrons to be liberated, or even the electrons to be loose, or to be very much released from resultant potentials of the internal composition, or the internal configuration of lattice. Applying this, or even where in ways that we can attach the electrons from any resulting to any resulting, we can attach the electrons. يعني ليس يتحرر، لكننا يمكن ربط الالكترون، يمكننا ربط الالكترون بأي جهد ناتج عن التركيب الداخلي للشبكة from any to any resulting potentials of the internal configurations of the lattice. By applying this to Schrodinger equations, setting V to equal to 0, we get to the Laplacian, or even the Laplacian of psi equals to E psi. Psi is the wave function. Laplacian is the Laplacian operator. يعني done كما تلاحظون هنا done squared is the Laplacian operator. يعني المؤثر اللابلاسي في الثلاث أبعاد المكانية، أو في الثلاث أبعاد المؤثرة المكانية، ليست مؤثرة وإنما الثلاث أبعاد التي يتم فيها الانتشار الموجي at the three solid dimensions at which the wave propagation is at which the free propagations, or at which the wave propagation is supposed to be. Psi represents the wave functions. H, Planck constant, H dash equal to H to 4 pi. E, the overall energy is kinetic energy in this case. طاقة حركة في الحالة المبينة أمامنا. If psi is actually a plane front wave, so the solution of the predecessor equations will become, في نحل المعادلة السابقة يصبح psi equal to psi naught exponential I k dash r dash, where the vector k dash is the wave vector related to each wavelength lambda and the electron momentum p by the relevancy. يعني يرتبط بكل من الضغط الموجي اللامدا وكمية حركة الإلكترون p بالعلاقة k equal to ak equals to 2 pi, as you can see right here, equal to p. As well as r represents a potential vector. يعني كما تمثل r متجه موضع. As well as r dash represent a point vector, or a potential vector, or even position vector. By using the solutions we get partial psi partial squared side partial x squared according to the Schrodinger equation parametric terms. يعني بالدلالة أو في دلالة المعاملات المعملية لمعادلة شرودنجر equals to minus kx or kx squared psi. Also for the y dimension and the z dimensions are the same, where the Laplacian for psi يعني اللابلاسي المؤثر اللابلاسي بالأبعاد الثلاثة للبساي يساوي كالتالي. Setting the Laplacian here, as you can see, we're setting the Laplacian here as, or evaluating the each for the Laplacian here by the k and psi relevancy, we get يعني بالتعويض عن لكل بساي لكل بساي لكل متجه أو لكل بساي لكل بعد بالعلاقة k بساي نحصل على شرودنجر معادلة شرودنجر. And by evaluating in Schrodinger equations we only get that ek equals to dot squared k squared equals to p squared. The equation stands for the free electron energy at the transition restraining transitions as the gas particles or as a particle in the gas, which is very valued connected energy represented by a hyper or simple parabola between the k squared ek, a direct consequence for the way that presumed from electron loss of the potential energy, as well as the absence of the or even as well as the presence of the lattice periodicity effect of the metal or of the metallic. Kronig-Penney model. Kronig-Penney model. At exactly 1930, each of Kronig and Penney proposed a new model for electron mobility, or the conduction electron mobility in the x direction, and the effect, or even affected by a periodic potential difference. Periodic change potential difference illustrated by the following figure, where the electron is actually facing a potential barrier or rectangular potential barrier, assuming assuming that the potential energy Vx will possess the following values: Vx 0, Vx v naught, Vx 0 when the x is from the 0 to a, and Vx equals v naught when the x is from b to 0, or the x from the a to a plus b, or as you can see right in front of you. هنا مهمة جدا، نظرية الإلكترون الحر مهمة جدا لصف أسس المواد، أسس هندسة المواد صف الأول. Druid proposed when having this theory that the metallics is actually confirms from a metallic ion, or if metallic positively charged metallic ions packed in the middle of gas of free moving electrons prevents the electrostatic attraction force between the residue charge, or between the variety, or between the various charge, preventing the electrons from leaving the metallic surface, and the application, or even at the exertion of any outer field effect, the electrons exist in the wave, or in the path will be accelerated, but the electron drift will be phased by dispersion resistance, by resistance to disperse them in the motion of the ionic metals, or even the motion of the ionic metallics. After a time intervals, a state of the dynamic balance or dynamic equilibriums will be generated in the system, at which the electrons will move rapidly or uniformly fast, representing the mean drift velocity into a closed distance, or throughout a closed distances between each two respective collisions, or between each two both respective collisions, and the mean of the distance is actually denoted as the mean free path, estimated by Druid, equals to interatomic spacing, or equal to interstitial distances of atoms in the lattices. The free electron theory acquired validity when explains satisfactorily many of aspects, including the electrical conductivity, as well as the thermal conductivity of metallics, and the electrothermal phenomena, and the fluorescence of the metallic surfaces, with the permissibility of light, and the thermomionic emission, or the fluorescence of the metallic surface at the permissibility of light, and the thermomionic emission. The electrical conductivity الموصلية الكهربائية. According to the theory that the electrons of mass E in an electrical field with intensity epsilons accelerated by an A acquires an acceleration A given by the relationship A equals to E naught, as you can see right in front of you, ME. As a result, for the presence of dispersion centers of the atomic collisions, or even lattice ionic motions, the maximum velocity Vm of the electrons will be set, or will be escalated right after each collisions, and the acceleration will be rewind again, or the accelerations will be recycled again. This is pretty much obviously look like the case of the periodic curve, or in the case can be similarized as the periodic curve. If the time spent between each two respective collisions is 2t, or even 2 tau, where tau represents the relaxation time, يعني زمن الاسترخاء, so the maximum velocity of electrons is given by the relationship, يعني سرعة قصوى الإلكترون تعطى بالعلاقة P me a v naught b dot squared a squared 2 mee dot squared, according to Schrodinger equation terms. band energy. أصل الشريط المحظور أو أصل origins of band energy band، يعني أصل شغلة الطاقة المحظورة. Taking in consideration the periodicity of the crystal lattice compositions of metals or even of the of solids, it is very obvious, or it seems that the free electron seems to be moving under the effect, or even seems to be mobilized, affected by a periodic potential energy, very characterized periodic potential energy of the metallic lattice or the concerned lattice ions. So the relevancy E equal to H dash squared K dash to 2me obtained by obtained by the potential energy, by depending the potential energy represents a parabolic functions, will be urgently required modification. يعني أصبح في حاجة للتعديل. To identify the periodic compositions and the variety of material crystals, it's only obligatory to assign the lattice constant A by using the diffraction of X-ray of the crystal surface by the application of Bragg's law، يعني بتطبيق قانون براغ الذي أخذناه سابقا. And lambda to equal to 2A sine theta, where the n is the diffraction order and valued as 1, 2, 3 lambda is the wavelength of the X-ray diffracted. Theta is the diffraction angle. By evaluating lambda in terms of the wave vector k, the Bragg's law will come up to k equals to m by I just consider one point. And the first diffraction rank, or even first diffraction order, will be determined by setting n to 1 and theta to 90 will become k equal to plus by k. The parameter يعني الحيز الواقع lies between the both values of k، يعني بين قيمتي k يطلق عليه اسم نطاق بريليون، is denoted as Brilliant parameters. And the band order is determined according to the diffraction order obtained، يعني تحدد رتبة النطاق تبعا لرتبة الحيود كما يلي. First Brilliant parameters ranged at k from pi to a, as you can see in front of you. The second Brilliant parameters ranged at. Third Brilliant parameters ranged at، يعني نطاق بريون الثالث يقع في المدى كما ترون أمامكم، مهمة جدا. Two A right, as you can see right in front of you. And the following shape, or even the following figure, represents Brilliant parameters in 2 or 3 dimensions of the vector space k. This is a result for the satisfactory of the Bragg's law of diffraction. The curve or the connected curve of the energy in the vector space, or the vector space at k dash, will be split to 2 sections at the k equal to plus pi to 2. At both points there will be a truncation، يعني سيحدث قطع عند النقطتين. Will be, as you can see right here in front of you, will be a truncation in the energy curve, and thus Brilliant first premises will be determined, repeating the occurrence of the truncation exactly at the curve, at the frontiers of the respective, or at the frontiers of the successive Brilliant parameters or parameters, as illustrated by the following figure. يعني كما يوضح الشكل التالي. Truncation يعني اقتطاع أو قطع. The parabolic relevancies remains valid. E directly proportional, or E proportional with k squared, may be valid، يعني قد تكون صالحة in case of the mass or the convenient mass was replaced, or the convenient mass of electrons was replaced with a further effective mass, where the energy in this case will be given by the relationship. يعني إذا ما استبدلت الكتلة التقليدية كذا convenient mass ME للإلكترون بأخرى تعرف بالكتلة الفعالة the effective mass M star E M or M dot E حيث تعطى العلاقة في الحالة الآتية أو في الحالة يعني التالية بالعلاقة، تعطى الطاقة بالحالة التالية بالعلاقة E equals to dot square K squared as you can see right in front of you. مهمة جدا. Dot square is a term interpretations of the Schrödinger equation. يعني dot square هو عبارة عن يعني عبارة عن حد من حدود معادلة شرودنجر. Most of the k values يعني في معظم قيم k me will be used as m dot e يعني me الكتلة تستخدم ككتلة فعالة. But at the presence of any brilliant parameters where k equals to positive pi to 2 or pi 2 or k equals to positive 90, the me or the me will noticeably be diffracted. me only, not the m dot e. The me will noticeably be diffracted. يعني ستحيد me بشكل ملحوظ. It will come up to an infinity at when bottomized. وتؤول قيمتها إلى infinity عند القاع. When bottomized يعني عند التقعيع أو عند القاع. Calculating the effective mass of the charge carriers of solids. Quantum mechanics defines the object mobility or even the object motions in the wave as the group velocity of wave by the relevancy. يعني تعرف ميكانية الكم أو تترجم ميكانية الكم حركة جسيم في موجة ما أو في أي موجة بسرعة الجماعة Vg للموجة بالعلاقة Vg equal to d omega, as you can see right in front of you, where omega represents the angular velocity or the angular frequency, where the energy is given by relationship E equals to h dash omega. Vg thus in this case will be in the form يعني Vg سرعة الجماعة ستكون بالصورة التالية Vg equal to 1 as you can see right in the E, as you can see right for you illustrated يعني كما هو موضح أمامكم, which means that the electron velocity in motions at the materials will directly proportions when the inclination or when the slope of the lane yokes between E and K by K equals 0 or by K setting to 0. The slope will be even positive. The velocity will be increased by any instantaneous increase of K as a result for the kinetic energy increment يعني نتيجة زيادة الطاقة الحركية, or as a result for the kinetic energy augmentation يعني نتيجة لاستثارة أو زيادة الطاقة الحركية. When close to the parameters or in the parameter value, the slope will slope sign will be negatively indicated in the form of the velocity value, despite of any increment or despite the augmentation of the overall energy, where the potential energy will be augmented against the favor of the kinetic energy, or even to the favor of the kinetic energy. Differentiating the relevancies with respect to time, we can only find that Vg equal to the form, or equals to form, in the presence of the electrical field with intensity epsilons, the energy absorption rate or the energy absorption rate will be equal to E epsilon Vg. Thus, the resulting overall energy change will be in the form, or the resulting overall energy change with respect to K will be as follows. Which means D is equal to, as you can see right in front of you, A epsilon. Evaluating the results in the equation yields يعني بالتعويض عن النتيجة بالمعادلة نحصل على Vg dot equals 2. Vg dot equals 2, as you can see right in front of you.